Hey guys, this is Amit and you are watching Tech Dad. In this video, we are going to compare between Poco X3 Pro versus Realme X7 Pro, and we will discuss which one is better in camera, performance, display, body of the devices, features, communication chips, and about the prices. And in the end of the video, I will tell you which one is better according to me. So watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Let the comparison start with the camera of the devices. Talking about the rear camera of the devices, X3 Pro have quad camera setup, 48 megapixel of wide camera, 8 megapixel of ultra wide camera, 2 megapixel of macro camera, and 2 megapixel of depth sensor. In the other side, X7 Pro also comes with quad camera setup, 64 megapixel of wide camera, 8 megapixel of ultra wide camera, 2 megapixel of macro camera, and 2 megapixel of depth sensor. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it have better camera sensors. And about the front camera of the devices, X3 Pro have 20 megapixel of wide camera and X7 Pro have 32 megapixel of wide camera. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it have 32 megapixel of wide camera. Let's talk about the camera features of the devices. X3 Pro have dual LED flash, HDR and panorama, and X7 Pro have LED flash, HDR and panorama. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have dual LED flash. And about the video recording options in the devices, X3 Pro can shoot 4K video max at 30 fps, Full HD video max at 240 fps with gyro electronic image stabilization, and X7 Pro can shoot 4K video max at 30 fps and Full HD video max at 120 fps with gyro electronic image stabilization. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have better camera sensor. Moving to the performance of the devices, let's start with the operating system of the devices. X3 Pro have Android 11 support. On the other side, X7 Pro also have Android 11 support. So it's a tie. And about the user interface of the devices, X3 Pro have MIUI specially designed for Poco, and X7 Pro comes with Realme UI. So it's a tie here because both of the devices have different user interface. Let's talk about the processor of the devices. X3 Pro is powered by Snapdragon 860 based on 7nm processor, and X7 is powered by Dimensity 1000 Plus based on 8nm processor. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it has 7% more faster processing speed. And about the GPU of the devices, X3 Pro is packed with Adreno 640 whereas X7 Pro is packed with Mali G77. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it can give you more FPS in games. Let's talk about the clock speed of the devices. X3 Pro can clock at 2.96 GHz based on octa-core Creo chipset, whereas X7 Pro can clock at 2.6 GHz based on octa-core Cortex chipset. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have faster clock speed. And about the RAM variants in the devices, X3 Pro comes with 2 RAM variants, 6 and 8 GB of RAM variants, whereas X7 Pro also have 2 RAM variants, 6 and 8 GB of RAM variants. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because it have high RAM speed. Let's talk about the internal storage of the devices. X3 Pro comes with 2 storage options, 128 and 256 GB of storage, whereas X7 Pro also have 2 storage options, 128 and 256 GB of storage option. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because it have faster read and write speed. And about the external storage options of the devices, X3 Pro have external card slot option but it uses shared SIM slot, whereas X7 did not have any. So the winner here is X3 Pro. Moving to the display features of the devices. Let's start with the display size of the devices. X3 Pro have 6.67 inches of display, whereas X7 Pro have 6.55 inches of display. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have larger display size. And about the screen to body ratio of the devices, X3 Pro have approx 84.6% of ratio, whereas X7 Pro have 85.8%. So it's a tie here because both of the devices have approx the same ratio. Let's talk about the screen resolution of the devices. X3 Pro comes with Full HD Plus display, whereas X7 Pro also have Full HD Plus display. So clearly it's a tie here. And about the display type of the devices, X3 Pro have IPS LCD display having 120Hz of refresh rate with HDR10 support, and X7 Pro have Super AMOLED display with 90Hz of refresh rate. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it have Super AMOLED display which can produce sharper images, vivid colors and deeper blacks, which is great for watching content and playing games. Moving to the body features of the devices, let's start with the thickness of the devices. X3 Pro have 9.4 mm of thickness, whereas X7 Pro have 8.5 mm of thickness. So clearly the winner here is X7 Pro because of slimmer body design it have. Talking about the weight of the devices, X3 Pro is about 215 grams of weight, whereas X7 Pro is about 184 grams of weight. So the winner here is X7 Pro because it have lower body weight. And about the protective glass of the devices, X3 Pro have Gorilla Glass 6, whereas X7 Pro also have Gorilla Glass 5. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because it have newer generation of glass which is more durable than its older generation. Let's talk about the build quality of the devices. X3 Pro have glass back with plastic frame, whereas X7 have glass back with plastic frame. So it's a tie here because both of the devices have same build quality. And about the SIM options in the devices, both of the devices have dual nano SIM support, so it's a tie here. Moving to some of the most important features of the devices, let's start with the fingerprint scanner of the devices. X3 Pro have side mounted fingerprint scanner, and the other side X7 Pro have under display fingerprint scanner. So I will call it's a tie here because it's up to you which side you prefer. It's up to you. But in terms of speed, the winner is X3 Pro. And about the sensors in the devices, X3 Pro have accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity and compass, whereas X7 Pro have accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity and compass too. So again, it's a tie. Let's talk about the battery capacity of the devices. X3 Pro have 5160 mAh of battery, whereas X7 Pro have 4500 mAh of battery capacity. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because of larger battery capacity it have. Let's talk about the charging speed of the devices. X3 Pro have 33 watts of fast charging, whereas X7 Pro have 65 watts of fast charging. So clearly the winner here is X7 Pro because it can charge up your device faster. Let's talk about the loudspeaker of the devices. X3 Pro comes with stereo speakers, whereas X7 Pro also have stereo speakers. So it's a tie here because both of the devices can produces immersive sound. And about the headphone jack of the devices, X3 Pro have 3.5 mm of headphone jack, but X7 Pro did not have any. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have headphone jack. Moving to the communication chips in the devices, starting with the WLAN of the devices. Both of the devices have Wi-Fi AC, dual band Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi direct and hotspot, but X7 Pro have 6th generation of Wi-Fi, which is extremely fast. So the winner here is X7 Pro because of newest generation of Wi-Fi. And about the Bluetooth version of the devices, X3 Pro have 5th generation of Bluetooth, whereas X7 Pro have 5.1 generation of Bluetooth. So it's a tie here because both of the devices have same generation of Bluetooth. Let's talk about the positioning chips in the devices. X3 Pro have AGPS, GLONASS, Galileo and BDS, whereas X7 Pro have dual band AGPS, GLONASS and BDS. So clearly the winner here is X7 Pro because it have dual band sensor. And about the USB connectivity of the devices, X3 Pro comes with 2nd gen of Type-C connector, whereas X7 Pro also have 2nd gen of Type-C connector. So it's a tie here. Moving to the price of the device. In the international market, starting range of X3 Pro is around $220, whereas X7 Pro is available from $350. In the Indian market, X3 Pro have starting range from 17,500 rupees, whereas X7 Pro is available from 28,000 rupees. So the conclusion of the video is, in the camera, it's a tie. In the performance, the winner is X7 Pro. In the display, the winner is X7 Pro. In the body segment, it's a tie. In the features of the devices, the winner is X7 Pro. In the communication chips, the winner is X7 Pro. And about the price of the devices, the winner is X3 Pro. So the decision is totally yours. Which device you like the most so far, and let me know in the comment below what do you think, which device is better for you. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you like our content, please like our video, share this video and subscribe to our channel. Comment what you thought in the comment below. If you're watching this video on Facebook, please like our page TechDad. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, here's my Instagram ID on the screen. This is Amit and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.